Sound sync.
Welcome, friends, to SoulNet Sessions on YouTube,
where we connect in community.
And we talk about soulful conversations that are affecting us individually and in our communities.
So grab your coffee, pull up a chair, and let's dive in.
Welcome back, SoulNet listeners and community. It's so good to be here with you both.
Yeah, you too.
Welcome back, friends.
Yes.
Hi, team.
Ram Dass has a saying, if you think you're enlightened, spend a week with your family.
I love that saying.
Doubt.
And in the light of...
Wait, can you just repeat that? I'm sorry.
Let's let that land.
Sorry, we're just all landing in the space here, and I just feel like I need to hear that one more time.
Okay.
It's for impact.
Yeah. Impact is definitely the right word for that one, for that statement. If you think you're enlightened, spend a week with your family.
Yeah. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That is feeling deep on my heart today, ladies.
Yes.
Yeah, is it? Is it? Okay, so
it's landing.
Yeah. So I have a question for both of you that's kind of kickstarts the whole, discussion and emotions and sensations that come up when we think about that sentence is on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being, the highest and 1 being the lowest. Where would you rate the emotional intelligence or emotional literacy, maybe is a better question. Where would you rate the emotional literacy of your family of origin? And it's not to blame anyone. It's just kind of to see the reality of what, the environment was.
I don't think I can give both of mine the same scale. I've got 2 different parents, and they're one that has a high emotional intelligence and EQ. The other one that is all about productivity and, action.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. Yeah, seeing it from the lens of each parent. Yeah, that's a really good point.
And they've been the counterbalance to making me somewhat normal, somewhat in really, really small ways.
Yep.
Well, that's nice, though. That's kind of nice to have that balance, right, around the table.
Yeah.
Mine was really low, I would say. But I don't know because my dad was not a part of my life after I was 9. And I feel like he potentially, even though he left for different reasons, but I do think intuitively, my sense is that he was much more emotionally connected, but struggled in the dynamic with my mom.
Yep, got it.
And so I was raised, after that by my mom, raised being kind of like a loose definition of it. But yeah, so I would say I don't even know. I didn't have that family, that typical family, holiday dinner kind of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Joy.
Talk,
I don't know if there is a typical family. There are families that have certain skills and don't have other skills.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
I wonder, too, if that answer is very generational, because I notice that people that are in our generation of that, 50s, late 40s, early 50s, seem to have a very similar family dynamic, even though it's very different. There was different generational maybe purposes to each soul pod that kind of drops.
Right.
And so what they were here to overcome is very, very different than what we are unpacking and unraveling.
So true.
If I understand our assignment here, which is to break cycles of our parents' generation, then theirs was something different, and it created a whole lot of disarray that we're now undoing.
Right, exactly.
It's like they were like the adventurer. I don't know if adventure is the right word, but they were in many cases, the immigrant experience or journey experience, the World War II, on the heels of that, lots of families displaced and moving places or trying to create resources from poverty, so that's quite
Work
a journey.
hard, play
Work
hard would be
yeah.
where I notice a lot of that.
Yeah.
And in particular, depending on the demographic, probably work hard.
Yeah.
That was what was valued. And I have, my own
Totally.
father came over as an immigrant. I have another very close friend who came over, very different situation, came over as immigrants in a refugee and had to leave everything they had. And so how did you make it in the new land? You worked hard.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's like the Chinese way.
Yeah, the Europe, the job.
It's so true.
Work hard.
It's true.
Why A minus, no good. A plus only.
Totally.
My cousins, my nieces, and now my youngest son and myself, we do like the imitation of our moms and aunts, like so brilliantly, because it's like just like you say, it's that hard work ethic. Like, pull yourself up by the bootstraps and work hard and like achieve, basically.
And that is what brings value and acceptance and all of the other things. But
Totally.
And whatever, whether it was in education, whether it was in your work, your family. My mom was a cleaner. Like she could clean a house like nobody else. She still can.
Yeah.
There's a term, rage cleaning. When you're upset, you're like rage clean. I bet your mom did that. I know I used to do that. Exactly.
Totally. Oh my God, maybe I should try that. 'Cause I don't like cleaning. I'm like, I do it, but I don't love it.
It's
so maybe
very
I should,
cathartic.
I should attach like some anger to it.
Yeah.
It's so funny going back to the enlightenment piece because I think about is like spend a week with your family. Like I don't feel enlightened when I do that. I feel like I've gone back to like, I've regressed.
Yeah.
And so I'd love to talk about a little bit about that because Thanksgiving is coming up and well, it's this weekend for us and the holidays are coming up. And I'd love to talk about like, how do we not regress when we sit around the table with our families of origin?
Yeah.
Because for me, the enlightenment journey is often on my own.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And that's such a beautiful point because there's our family of origin and then there's our chosen family. And like for me, when I look at the emotional literacy of my family, similar to you, Dayna, like each parent was different, but then there's also the emotional intelligence of your family unit, like how you communicate and together, as a unit.
Yes.
And that's a kind of emotional literacy too, contributed to by each family member. How do they rupture and repair? Mm-hmm. And I remember growing up, like all I knew was rupture. We didn't know how to repair. And it would just be like, repair would be like, you just kind of wait around and then who like starts talking as if nothing happened when big things happened that just get swept under the rug, right? And so like, if I gave my family literacy a number, it might be like in the three or four, probably like to that number high enough because of my dad. And it's not a criticism of my mom, it's just about capacity. Like there wasn't a capacity to repair. And so like for chosen family, who we might be with this holiday, who we might choose to be around, or we might choose to spend some time with family of origin and then recuperate in a way, like however it empowers us, right? Then that chosen family usually has more emotional literacy and we just feel felt.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, that became true for me really young.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, my chosen family were my friends.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I was able to find emotional stability and safety.
Yeah.
And emotional literacy in that. And so I think that's where that's still my journey, but that was my journey because I didn't have I didn't have parents at home to provide it.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because my chosen family is where I would say the guides walking alongside me on the enlightenment journey.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then when I go to my family of origin, those who are still alive, it feels constricting.
Yeah, totally.
And I feel like we go back
Yep.
to old patterns.
Yep.
So I'd love to know like how you guys, deal with that, like especially around holidays?
So
Yeah.
I could share a recent story. You guys know a little bit about this. I'm going through some small renovations in my home, and my father is a contractor, very, very talented European craftsman, gets the job done on time, like amazing. But he's working in my home now. And he comes in, the song that played in my mind when he showed up on Tuesday morning this week was Miley Cyrus, Like a Wrecking Ball.
Oh. He came in like a wrecking ball. Oh my gosh. I can think of
like a wrecking ball. And not just
I can feel
physically knocking down walls, but wrecking everything I have built around myself and rediscovered of myself. It's felt like all of that came tumbling down within like a 24-hour period. Where I was exactly as you described, Meg. And I remember I was standing there looking at him working on a pantry closet in my kitchen. And I literally like felt outside of myself. And I looked at young Dayna, 3 or 4 years old, standing in my dad's workshop downstairs in the basement, wanting, I'm a really curious person. You guys know this. I want to learn. I want to be part of it. And like so many other young girls, my dad was amazing. He was strong and he was powerful and he was handsome and all of these these beautiful things. And I just wanted his love and I wanted to be a part of what he brought. And so I was in that moment, I was that 3-year-old girl standing, looking up at my dad as he told me, get out of the way, stop asking questions, stop bugging me. And then I've shared my father had rage. So the tone goes from get out of the way to swearing and the fuck out. And so what I noticed with that as adult Dayna, I had to do a lot of that reparenting and returning to who I was. And there's a couple of things I used to kind of help me through that. But I think one of the most powerful pieces that when I came through it was I was able to witness myself as the child instead of being the child and yelling and stomping my feet or retreating.
Right.
Islena and I share a similar history into our high school years in that I did run away for a couple of days and it was all around fear for my father. And I'm not, my father is also loving, but he had uncontrolled rage. We were spanked as children, which was fairly common back in those days. And then he had the voice. And so over time, I learned that I was a nuisance. And so what came through in that was this desire to run away. I found myself at the end of the workday. I didn't want to go home because my dad was now in my home. And I was like, how quickly I went from, the first instance was the 3-year-old Dayna. And then all of a sudden I was the 16-year-old Dayna that was like, well, I don't have to go home now because I can go and go for a coffee. I can waste some time until he's gone for the day.
Right.
And I actually said this to a client this week. I said, because I shared this story. I was like, we have a similar fathers and he and I have bonded over that. And he says, oh, if you never need a space. And I looked at him and I said, no. I said, this is Dayna reclaiming and reformulating the limiting beliefs I had around myself that were placed in that particular dynamic. So as far as ways that we work with our family, I think noticing when we're
activated
and hopefully we can catch ourselves before we act out, which is where I had the autonomy of self to go, oh my gosh, you're 16, so let's bring you back up to 53 and let's reformulate the relationship. And I will say, as part of a beautiful growth, you guys know I love kind of these little instances of growth that come up for me, is that I now offer that same love and acceptance toward myself that he still cannot give me.
Yeah.
50 years later,
Right.
45 years later.
Totally.
And I know that I'm okay.
Yeah.
And that really is a powerful thing as an adult. It doesn't mean I don't get triggered.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
instead of going into those places, I'm able to notice it and give myself the grace to work through it.
That is incredible.
That is incredible.
Like,
and I want to honor you in that moment,
Yeah.
because that takes a lot of maturity, spiritual and emotional maturity, to do that for yourself. And it reminds me of the enlightenment journey that is solo.
Yeah. That's right.
Because if we are looking outside of ourselves
Yep.
and we're looking to others to help us recover, I think that potentially, I mean, there's a lot of people that you can co-regulate with.
Yeah.
But I think what I'm hearing from you, Dayna, is that you are able to find other spaces or beings, maybe not human, that help you to co-regulate and allow you to kind of like step outside as a witness.
And then remember who I am, because that's the piece. I have to reclaim myself.
Yeah.
And so what I did, so that came in Tuesday. Next day, the next morning, I was already feeling all of this stuff bubbling up. So I did a little bit of writing, my meditation, as I usually do.
Yeah.
And then I did my sun salutations, which is that next piece of my morning ritual. And I was so in my feelings, though.
Yeah,
So my first sun salutations, I'm crying. Like I'm sobbing, right?
Yep.
Things are falling.
Yeah.
And because I do it as the vocal piece, what I allowed myself in that experience was to allow my tone of voice to play with frequency. And I had an angry chant that came out. I allowed myself to be loud and to just feel all of it moving up and out. And I've shared with you some of the beautiful parts about, Vedic chanting and how it has a resonance. Yeah. So this particular chant is about to Surya, the sun, and not the sun outside. It's about the sun and the light that lies within. And over the course of the 12 minutes that it takes me to do this particular series, I went from the scared little girl that was hurt and in her feelings, crying, to the end, I felt the powerful strength that is within myself and my own light that I have fought the last however many years to undo all the things I was led to believe about myself.
Totally.
And I witnessed it and I felt it in real time.
Yeah. And it was
in 15
embodied. Yeah. You're on the right track because like Meg said, we're reminding these young parts that looked up and saw lack or unmet need. They experienced an unmet need. We're reconnecting them with our current caring awareness, our loving awareness, which you feel through your sun salutations, through connecting to the sun inside, which is your higher self, your embodied, empowered self. It's the mother in you, mother and father. It's the parent in you. It's the functional adult in you. And you showered that onto the younger parts and reintegrated. And this is like shadow work at its core.
Yeah.
It's like integrating these younger
beautiful.
parts.
It is. Yeah. And I just want to also add to that, because you were saying like that bid for connection.
Yeah.
There are some relationship, therapists. I think it's the Gottmans that, write about the bid for connection. And it just made me think of that. Like so for our listeners who are going into holiday season and you feel like you're you all of a sudden you step outside and see your little younger self bidding for a connection with someone at the table in the living room and not getting
not feeling seen.
Not feeling seen or heard.
Oh my goodness.
And it takes you right back to your 3-year-old self or your 6-year-old or your 12 or 15, and you want to run away or you want to hide or
lash out or there's so many versions and
react.
And they're all
they're all protective.
Yeah.
And it's real. Like this happens like all throughout our life, even as we do the work and we learn different tools and ways to love ourselves
Mhm.
and parent that inner child, like you were talking about, Islena. But I wonder if it's just an invitation to notice when you may find yourself in an interaction that was a bit for connection,
Mhm.
that was like, that you felt was like not received.
Yeah.
And how do we, in the moment when we feel that pang of pain
Mhm.
that takes us right back,
Yeah.
how do we stay present with our families? How do we stay present at the table without going into that, like, are you fucking serious? Like, hello, does anyone understand me?
Yeah.
It's
Is
like,
anyone listening?
is
Does
anyone
anyone
listening? Does
listening?
anyone get it?
Yeah.
Am
Does
I
anyone
totally
care?
alone in this wilderness at the family table?
Except for you guys, I often feel like I've been alone standing on the cliff and everyone's just looking at me with deadpan eyes. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go read my books now.
I know,
Oh my
it's
gosh.
true. But in that moment when you feel that,
Mhm.
like, I wonder how you stay present.
So what do you do, Meg?
Oh gosh. Well, I'm really boundaried with my family of origin. So I don't do a lot of gathering at the holidays. We do a little bit, but not so much not the way we used to.
Is it more your chosen family?
Yes.
Yeah,
So
that's
with
what-
my
yeah.
chosen family,
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
gather
Yeah.
now. And that's a choice, right?
Yes, exactly.
My chosen family.
Yeah.
And so I don't find myself so lost in the wilderness in those gatherings
Yeah.
because they're the people that know me
Yeah.
and see me and value me, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm probably not the right person to ask because I think I really set boundaries, and that was the only way I could, in my world,
Yeah.
they're just based on our family dynamics. There
Mhm.
just wasn't another option,
Yeah.
at least for me at this time. But yeah, so I feel very like I can regulate
Mhm.
pretty well
Mhm.
with my chosen family, my unit.
Mhm.
But what about you? Like, if you're at the table,
Mhm.
I mean, you're with your chosen family too.
Oh, absolutely. And I think what you said about healthy boundaries is essential for us to stay regulated. Because if we don't implement or begin to learn what our boundaries are that were trampled or erased in our past, we will forever be activated and triggered at every family event, at every, so healthy boundaries are essential for those of us that grew up with conditioning of what you described, being a parentified child, which is like being hyper attuned to a parent's emotional state for safety, for your safety, for the child's safety, and responding to their needs at the deficit of your own.
Right.
And which is, you and I have that really similar history. And so with individuals with that kind of history, we really need to learn. We didn't know what boundaries were. I remember when I first learned about boundaries, I was like, what is that? Because my body didn't know what that was. My body only knew how to keep giving and then be resentful because that's what I was taught. So I just didn't know. And I didn't realize. Yeah.
Isn't that women? Isn't that why autoimmune disease hits
100%,
women
100%.
at way higher
Way
rates?
higher. Yeah.
Because of the lack of boundaries.
Yep.
And
Yeah. And
there's other things, obviously. But, I really do feel like that.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Yeah. And especially for the conditioning around nice girl, good wife, like all the things, to fit in. But to speak to
just let she's a prude. She's
Yeah,
this, she's that.
yeah.
She's like, what do you want? You want it, you don't want it.
Totally. Like, she's pretty wild. Oh, I love that about her. Oh, I don't. Like, that's like too much. It's either too much or not enough.
Too much or not enough.
Didn't you say that yesterday? The quote about
a lady in the streets, a freak in the sheets.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Speak proper on the outside, but behind closed doors.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm like, I'd rather be a freak everywhere,
Totally.
just expressed and authentic.
Well, that's it. Self-expression.
Authentic self-expression. And, then those that don't jive with you, we're never meant to. And it's okay because we can't please everybody. And this is like relieving to know that we can't, and that just choose your tribe, go with that and bless everyone else.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I also add, because this was part of my week this week and it's very fresh, and I found it really interesting. So I listened to a chakra balancing thing, and I usually do it when I go for my acupuncture. It's kind of part of one of my other kind of rituals that I do. And so I was still coming out of this kind of emotional couple of days. I'll be here for another month or so, guys. Just, you'll hear lots of things about it. But one of the things, so it's Deepak's voice in it, and he's got such great wisdom for our soul cycle, soul selves.
Yeah.
And when we were working on the sacral chakra, he was talking about relations and relationships. And I'm sitting there oming out in my little acupuncture needles, and I hear him say, relationships are mirrors to ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I stopped it. I paused it, and I repeated this phrase over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to come around to the place where my father and I are missing each other. Mm-hmm. And it's because we are more similar than we are different in some ways.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yep.
And yes, there are inner child pieces that I have to go through too. But if I'm trying to grow and really reformulate a relationship, because I have the opportunity to do this with my father now in his elder years. Yep. I can do what I can to kind of reformulate the relationship. And so I took that phrase and I'm working with it. I'll let you know where I end up in what my part is pushing his buttons and how we can figure out that maybe we can meet in that place. And I think when we're talking about all of these things in Thanksgiving and holiday gatherings of like different ideas, different ways of generations and growing up, ideas, politics, you pick the scenario. How can I meet him in the middle? Because I still love him. And I would love to have a relationship for as long as he's here that is as good as it can be.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And he may never see me. But maybe we can find a way that we can still find love.
Yeah, you're really speaking to the experience of like appreciating a person exactly as they are, and you're able to come to that place with your father to really appreciate him exactly as they are. You're not trying to change him. No. You're just in appreciation, and he's got his stuff. He's got his ways of expressing that just kind of repeated themselves over the years, and through your grace and cycle breaking, really, you're able to be with that. And to speak to Meg's question on like how to be when the triggers arise, like what I notice for myself is triggers arise in me when I am secretly wishing that the person would behave differently, and then I'm noticing, okay, I'm wishing they would show up differently. So it's an opportunity to remind myself, like, oh, I'm putting an unrealistic expectation onto them because they are operating out at their capacity right now. And that's so helpful to me to remember, like, okay, when I'm start to get irritated with my mom, I remember, okay, this is her capacity. So I kind of take a step back energetically and remind myself, I have a choice point right now. I have a choice point where I can do the habitual thing of self-abandoning to keep giving to that black hole. Mm-hmm. And it's not her fault that it's a black hole. Or I can take care of what's needed in the moment and declare a boundary, like you were saying.
That's right. That's right.
And that's how I just be with the triggers. And the triggers are actually really helpful to remind me that, oh, a default might be happening.
Yeah.
If I don't bring in awareness and make a choice point.
Yes. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
So I think in some cases for me, when I'm triggered too, like, and that mirroring, that can happen with my daughter, which is interesting.
Oh, for sure. I think that's a whole other conversation. We'll be on the other side with our kids at some point, right? Like, they'll be like, who are you?
Like, because it's like checking the expectation, like really reminding yourself of what their capacity is.
Yep.
And like that this is not like, so maybe like just being with them at the dinner,
Yep.
just being with them
Yep.
and not expecting anything. Maybe we should just like check our expectations.
Check
and-
our
I think
expectations.
for life,
really
yes.
lower them
Oh,
when
yeah.
we're with our family of origin.
My partner tells me that all the time. He's
Yes.
like, lower your expectations. And in the
Yes.
beginning, I was like, what do you mean? I have my expectations. I was like, I like my expectations. And then I was like, oh, my expectations are creating the problem.
Right,
Mhm.
exactly.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that happens to me too. And I
Yeah,
think it
all
does
of
with
us,
especially I find the tension sometimes, like my daughter and I have this like really wonderful relationship, but it's also super intense.
Yep.
And she's 17. And, you know, when I was, you know, and sometimes I find myself going back to when I was 17.
Yes.
And that's like,
Yeah.
those are the triggering moments of
Yeah.
mirroring.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hang on, how much of this is like hers versus how much is it mine?
Exactly.
And if we're going to be in a
Exactly.
healthy relationship,
Yeah.
then I have to really check myself,
Yeah.
check my expectations of her.
Yeah.
Just come into the moment, be more present.
Yeah.
Because things can, so I think that's the message for,
Yes.
thank you for this
Mhm.
message
Yeah.
of like checking expectations, being really present, being really aware of how you're responding. And maybe we just don't talk politics. this season.
Agreed.
Yeah. And
Maybe
Yeah.
for families.
yeah. Not politics, not religion. And, you know, in closing, I want to respond to what you said, Meg, about when we feel hurt. That's actually the tell. That's the cue that a younger part is surfacing to let us know that there's an unmet need. And so us as in current age, us 30, did I say 32?
30? I'm like,
I
I'll
wish.
take it.
Oh my gosh, can we manifest to be 32 with the emotional literacy of a 52-year-old?
Yes, please.
Oh my gosh, who's going to make that serum? I'm here for
Market
that.
that one. Market that one. So
Next lifetime?
yeah, there you go. Yeah. So thank you, SoulNet community,
Oh,
and blessings to you in your family gatherings and choices for the upcoming holidays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really appreciate this conversation. I think everyone can relate to it.
Yes.
I was thinking the same thing, Meg, that, you know, hopefully in our stories, you see maybe a little bit of your own families and maybe you
Exactly.
can have that pause, because I do feel that is the magic of what meditation has offered in my life
Yes.
is to be a witness. And I know that's been a longer process than, you know, overnight, but it really has showed up in my life as the ability to really step outside of myself and witness instead of being in the chaos and in the muck so much. So
And remembering
Beautiful.
like the capacity that the other person has.
Yep.
yeah.
Like you were speaking of, like your dad and your
Yep.
mom and my mom
Yep.
too. When I'm with her, it reminds me like
Yeah.
it's just we're not the same,
Yeah.
and they're not the same, and so to be present and to almost like witness them.
And then we can feel compassion, you know.
Yeah.
We can change the emotions from the ones that we felt as a child
Yeah.
Yeah,
to ones that are like, oh, I see you.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Must be hard to be you.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes, right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
True.
you know, this really shows, may your holidays be blessed with no expectations.
Oh,
Which allows us to be present.
Amen, sister.
oh my gosh, yes. May the holidays be blessed with no expectations. Make that your Christmas card.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
All right.
Thanks
so
so
then
much.
Yeah.
we are going to wrap on that. Thank you, Islena,
Amazing.
for bringing that
That was good.
that enlightenment. We were enlightened today. I hope you guys were too.
Yeah.
And we'll see you here next time.
Next time.